Okay. So there were two things I wanted you to submit last week, right? Or,
Yes.
for the last submission. So the last submission then, let me just, I want to save it here on the desktop, had two components. The one component you had to come up with a flow chart, and the other one you had to come up with a specification. So we're going to
Yeah.
talk about the learner information form first. We're going to talk about that one first, because that's where a lot of the things always then start. Okay, so I'm quickly going to share the screen. Okay, so the first page of your document, this one, is
Yes.
correct. Okay. But I can see that I think you based this off of an older source. Now, the reason why I say I think you built it off of an older source is because you'll remember we were on this page of SACWA with all of the documents, right?
Yes.
Okay, so one of the things that they then changed is they changed the personal information. So at the moment, the version that you've uploaded for me contains the same information that used to be on the forms that you were filling in for me, right?
Yes.
So it's similar to that. But what had happened is in a couple of about, I think, 2 years ago now, they changed it. So if we take a look at how it used to look, they would then give that the person has got no problems, and then they've got a problem with sight, then they've got a problem with hearing, a problem with communicating, a problem with physical. So they essentially had 10 codes, none and unknown, also included. And then they had 8 different ones. Now they replaced that. They replaced it with essentially the seeing, the hearing, the communicating, the walking, the remembering, and the self-care. They replaced it with that. So this form only talks about what must be in the information, right? If you go into the NLRD and then you look at this lookup tables, the lookup tables document then gives you what each of the fields must be. So I'm just going to make it a bit larger. Okay, so you see here they've made it the disability. So this one is still the old one. So then they say this health and functioning rating. So you see when this is the old disability codes, and then they say here they replace it with this health and functioning rating. So each of these fields, the seeing, the hearing, the communicating, the walking, the remembering, and the self-care, now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 60, 70, and 80. I'm not quite sure how they count because, they left out the number 5 and then they went to 60, 70, and 80. So I don't understand the logic there. But for example, your seeing rating, what would that be? You as a person now.
Okay, mom, it's 100%.
So you would have 1 for no difficulty.
Yes.
Okay. Then your hearing rating.
1 as well.
Yeah. Then communicating 1.
Yes.
Walking 1. Remembering
1.
self-care 1. But now, somebody who's perhaps become a bit old, then they're going to have a 3, and then they might have a 2, and then on the walking, they might have a 3 as well. Okay. So that's one thing I want you to go back to your document, and I want you to change it and to resubmit it. Something that can also just help you with that is if you're in the course, or if you're on the site, you can then just go to your profile, because you see we changed the profile with that in mind. So you can also just consult this one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, so aside from that, I'm satisfied with the form. So
okay,
yeah.
so what I must do now, it is just to add that portion that you just spoken about now.
Okay, you must replace this disability status code.
Yes.
With that other information, and on page 1, you've got to put in the additional spaces for the seeing the. So on the existing form, right? There was just the disability status code. That disability status code now needs to be replaced with seeing, hearing, communicating, walking, remembering, and self-care.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so for example, at Audit Campus, we changed this form at the beginning of the year. Because, you know, the CETAs weren't really very, they didn't really tell us that we needed, or no, we changed it last year already, but they didn't really tell us that we needed to change it. We found out about that by, you know, on our own. So that's actually one of the things that you might want to just take a look at there in your own organization, because you know this information it's similar to the disability status code, but this one is a lot more detailed.
Oh, okay.
Because you might even remember from when I was in the class, I used to make a joke about, you know, even because I'm wearing glasses, I needed to put in 01 for my disability status code. But somebody who's nearly blind would also put in, you know, somebody who's blind would also put in 01, because there was no distinction on the level of the problem, which is then why I changed it.
Okay. So now what will happen is that for those like seeing, hearing, communicating, and the other ones there, on the code, where it says disability, I must just put in those things because they are more detailed. I must just put more lines.
Yeah. So these 6 things go on your page 1. These 9 things go on your page 2.
Okay. Then these ones they go on my page 2.
Yeah, because remember your page 2 is the code. So you see this block here at the bottom. Let me just zoom in. There we go. So this block needs to be replaced with this information.
Yes. Can you go back to that block, please?
Okay. Oh, sorry. There we go. The disability status code.
Oh, okay, okay.
Okay, so that's the first bit of work that I want you to focus on. So the second bit of work that I want you to focus on is the second assignment. Ooh, I clicked a bit back too far there. Is I want you to draw up a flowchart. So at the moment, what you've done here is you've given me a submission of some different documents. I just want to open this one as well. So here you've got your learner information form again. But what I was looking for in the flowchart, right, is, you know, on this SAQA page,
Yes.
it gives us this load specifications document. Okay, I didn't need to download it, I needed to upload it again. Okay, so this contains all of the information that a training provider must collect and that the CETA and so on must collect as well. Okay, so let's now take a look at this information. Okay, so the provider needs to have all of this information available, right?
Yes.
Okay, so on a flowchart, well, and we're not going to be doing this now as a formal flowchart, but on a flowchart, we've got something that says, you know, the icon that shows a document. I think this is the one that shows a document. Okay.
Yes.
So this load specification tells us that there must be a document with provider details.
Okay, yes.
Okay, so this document with provider details, who creates that document?
It's me who will create it.
Yeah, so the provider creates. So the provider makes the document.
Yes.
To who does the provider give this document?
To my CETA.
Okay, so but remember, there's more accrediting bodies than just the CETA. So one would say QCTO and ETQA, because remember,
Yes.
the CETA has got an ETQA department, but
Yes. Yes.
the function is actually that of the ETQA. Okay, and then
True,
what
yes.
document is this? This then is the provider file 21. So we're then just going to put it into the provider file. Just going to put a label there, provider file 21. Or actually, wait, I think it just says file 21. Oh, okay, so it says provider, and then in brackets, okay, so what do you think is the purpose of this document? Why does it ask for this this document 21?
Okay, maybe it's because of the contents that are there. Let me see, because yeah, it has got like the specifications there, like provider name, ID, everything about all information that is required about the provider is covered on that one.
Yeah. Because remember, the whole purpose of this NQF Act is to make certain that training isn't done by fly-by-nights. So you want to be able to find a place. So for example, if you phone the ETDP CETA and you wanted to find out where are my offices, they would be able to tell you. If you phone SAQA to find out where my offices are, they would be able to tell you.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's then why all of this information would want to exist. Okay, and then you've got to go through, and then you've got to think about what's another type of record that the training provider must then have. This is now about the qualification. This is about a course. And you'll see that it gives a little instruction there. Okay. So here it talks about course qualification degree legacy and course legacy. What does the word legacy mean for you?
It means how can I say it? Everlasting.
Okay. Also, take for example, when you look at yourself in the morning when you're dressed for work, you look in the mirror. What color is your beret?
It's blue.
And what is the symbol on the beret?
The flames.
Okay, and well, isn't it like the little bomb and then the flames?
Yeah, it is, and the flames, yes.
Yeah. So remember how cannonballs used to look? You see them in like cartoons still. Is they literally used to be a cannonball was a ball. It was a literal round ball. Okay, so if I then take a look at a member of the SANDF with their berets and their cap badges and everything, that actually tells you a lot about the military traditions of South Africa. Because
it's true, yes.
There are many countries in the world where they don't actually wear berets. So take, for example, in the United States, beret isn't part of their usual uniforms. Only some units wear berets. And that's usually the Army, the United States Army Special Forces. They wear berets. And then at various points, other units have also worn berets. But it's not an army-wide thing. It's a unit-by-unit type thing. So if I'm looking at a South African soldier, I can see the legacy says that they come from something that was influenced by the British military traditions. Because the British are the ones who really wear the berets a lot.
Yes.
So that's a legacy. A legacy is then something from the past. Okay. So when did SAQA first come into place? When did SAQA really start? Think of the legislation.
98.
1996. Because 1995 is when the SAQA Act came out. And then in 1998, the Skills Development Act, which made the CETAs, came out. And then in 2008, they created the NQF Act. Okay. So the SAQA qualifications that we work with only really started existing in the early 2000s, like 2002, 2003. So all of the qualifications before that are legacy qualifications, and then legacy files. So legacy qualifications and legacy courses. So a qualification then is something that is larger than a course. Okay.
Yes.
This then, you file 22 and 23, you can then skip on your flow chart, because that's not going to be needed because your provider isn't offering legacy qualifications. Okay, so the first then is the biographical information about the provider. The next one that we want to take a look at is we want to take a look at the provider accreditation document. So this provider accreditation document is going to then be the next document that we've got to make sure that we have. So I'm going to say it. Okay, but who makes the accreditation document?
It may be the ETQA or the particular CETA.
So the CETA then creates that document, which the training provider must then have. Okay, so that's what then file 22 would be. So this would then be oh, sorry, it's not file 24.
24, yes.
Okay. I'm just going to close one of them because I keep on opening the wrong one. Okay. So then we come to file 25. Okay, so file 25 then is the learner information form.
Yes.
Okay, so file 25 is the learner information form. Okay, so the provider makes this file. The learner completes this file. And then the provider submits to the ETQA. And then the provider gives this through, or sorry, the ETQA gives through to SAQA. And this then is file number
25.
And then file 26 is the person designated one. We can see here they always talked about the assessor, but now it is the person designation. So the person designation is the person who says that this person is ready, you know, that the learner is ready. So the file 25 goes with the file 26. And then file 27 is the registration of the person. Because remember, this person in number 26 needs to have they must be registered in order to be able to assess the person against the qualification that is being listed. So remember, so that's then the assessor. Okay. So, so that's what I want you to do for me now then, is I want you to go back to those documents that you've got. And then I want you to make a kind of a flow chart. And then you would just, below each kind of picture, you would say that this document is created by the provider and submitted to the ETQA as part of the accreditation process. So you just have to explain a little bit about what the document is and why it exists.
Oh, okay.
So this then is to prove to me that you as the prospective person has an understanding of what's all of the documents that you're going to need to, that the training provider would want to work with or has to work with.
Yeah, I understand, yeah.
Okay. So
yeah, I think it's much easier now Like the way it reads that on the first one is document with the provider details, and then I make that document, and then I will explain there. I'll just that paragraph of saying this document, the purpose of that particular document,
Yeah.
and then I go on to the second one, accreditation, which is in line with the ETQA or the QCTO or the CETA even itself.
Yeah.
And then
One thing,
I'll do.
just one thing that you said that made me worry. You don't have to make the form, right? What you just have to do, because you know you've already made this learner information form, you must just draw me a process explaining what all of the documents are. You don't have to make the documents themselves.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so this thing that I've done, you must just do it, but with all of the documents in this load specification document.
The files, yes.
Yeah. So you use this one then as your source to come up with a document like this. To
all right.
what each of the documents is and who's responsible for creating it and who's responsible for filling it in.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. Okay, so will you do that for me then for next week?
Yeah, I'll definitely, most definitely, I'll do it for next week.
Yeah. And next week is, of course, going to be a very, very important week. Do you know what happens next week?
Yes.
What?
Or in terms of
The whole
maybe or the election of the election at United States.
Yes. Because remember, the United States are still the world's most strongest country. And, you know, leadership is a very important thing. And I think we've seen that demonstrated now very much over the last 4 years in the United States. Because, you know, a lot of people had criticism for Hillary Clinton, but there are very few people who would say that she would have just ignored the COVID-19 problem and say, oh, it's going away any day now. Because do you know how many Americans have died at the moment?
Yeah, it's over 3 million.
No, fortunately not. That's how many have gotten sick. Only around 212,000 have died.
Oh, okay.
But remember, that's still a lot. So, you know, America is not the most peaceful country in the world, and they've been in lots of fights around the world. COVID-19 has killed more people than all of the fights in which America, you know, COVID-19 has killed over the last 8 months more Americans than any of America's enemies have ever done. You know?
Yeah.
Because it used to also be in history. So soldiers didn't die of being in a fight. They died of disease.
Yes.
Which is one of the reasons why kind of, you know, hygiene is always so very important for soldiers. It's like, because take, for example, in the Anglo-Boer War of like 120 years ago, the British lost 4,000 soldiers from combat casualties. 4,000 people got shot. A further 26,000 people, British soldiers, died from diseases. So, you know, it's like 4,000 from combat, and then 4,000, 8,000, 12,000, 16,000, 20,000, 24,000. So it's almost 6 times more people died from illnesses than from fighting.
Yeah, yeah.
So because medicine is advanced, we're not used to it. So yes. But up until worldwide, the disease has been managed to be, you know, brought down. It's not going to stop. So yeah, next year isn't looking too great. So you must make sure you stay safe. I know you're very fit. You're not fat like me, but you're fit. But we don't know if the virus would affect you badly or not. So wash your hands. Don't touch your face. wear your mask, and stay safe. And then we'll talk again to next Saturday at 10.
Okay, thanks very much. Have a nice weekend, then.
Okay, same for you. And I'll upload the recording a little bit later today. I just have to go because I'm the designated shopping person for our entire family. So you get a long list and I got to work my way down that. But as soon as I'm back, then I'll upload the video.
Okay, thanks, eh?
Okay, bye.